So, good evening, everyone. I think it's good time that we should get started because we have a lot to cover today. So, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So, this is second Saturday of the month, and as promised, every second Saturday of the month we'll be creating a live project. So, let me show you what we are trying to build today, and then I'll explain you the different features of it. So, finally, we are trying to build a dictionary app like this. When you search for a word, it will basically a, I'll say, ascetic. So it will go scrape the web for that word. It will like extract its part of speech and also its meaning, and the word will be added to the cache, and all the words that are present in the cache can be seen here. So if I search for ascetic again, you'll see it will be very immediate. Ambivert, super, all these things are very immediate. Instead, if I search for a new word, say okay, introvert, it will take a couple of seconds before it gets back the response, scrapes all the important elements from the web page, and then displays it in the front end. Okay. So for scraping, the first element is take the input from the search bar here, go on the web, scrape that data, and once all the important tags or the data is scraped, then if it's not already present in the cache, add it to the cache and then show it in the front end. So it will have web scraping, then it will have it, as you can see, it already has a front end, and it will also have a database to save all these recently searched words so that you can access them later as well. Okay. Now this memory is persistent, so even if I close this server and start the server again, you'll see I'll be able to see all these words. So these words are there. So we are basically writing it to a SQLite database. This is the app that we will try to build. It has three components. One is web scraping, second is front end, and third is databases, which allows us to store all the recently searched words in the history so that we can access them quickly the next time we want to search for them. Okay. Even if you type the word here, it will retrieve it from the cache itself because the word is already present in the cache. Now, normally your web scraping, building a front end with Flask and database, all these three concepts are actually pretty easy, but in isolation. Once you start putting them together, things can get really messy very quickly. And a lot of beginners find it extremely difficult to put all these ideas together. And hence, we are conducting this live coding session to, to show how we can put or integrate all these things together to make a complete end-to-end working web app. Okay. So before we actually start with the session, there are a few announcements. First is this is going to be a long session because we are building things from scratch and will be live coding. So I don't have any prepared material that I'll be using directly. So this might take some time. So we'll be dividing the complete project into 3 modules, and we'll be taking a 10 to 15 minutes break between each module, so that you can stretch, take a walk, and then come back for the next session. Okay? This is the first thing. They are going to be long sessions, so just make sure that you just make sure you make best use of the breaks. Next is, first we'll start by web scraping, and then second module is we'll create a front end for that web scraping module, and third we'll see how we can create a database and put everything together. Now, if time permits, we'll also see how we can basically deploy the app on Heroku. Okay? After this, you will be in a very good position to deploy your own ML app, and you can make many other similar apps like this. Okay? Now, one piece of advice would be that there will be a lot of moving parts, and it is possible that you might not know everything. Okay? But it's completely okay. Try to follow along. There are many new things, and this project is just to highlight like what all different tools can be used and how do you put them together. So if you don't know something, after the session you can go and explore, read more about it, and then again come back and go through the material to see if it makes sense now. And one last thing, that I believe building projects is the best way to learn anything new. So here I'll be showing you how I would approach a problem of learning something new. Okay, so I'll be like looking at Google. I'll be using a lot of Stack Overflow, and a lot of places I'll intentionally cause some errors to discuss some important points that you should take care of. So I'll keep it very raw, very natural, so that you can see how the process would look like. Okay? So yeah, these are all the things that you need to know before we get started. So I think it's good time we should get started. So I'll close this app. I'll close the server here, and I'll clear the screen. So I'll create a new folder. I'll say mkdir and then dictionary, and so now you can see the directory or the folder is empty. So I'll start Visual Studio Code here. Okay, so there are no files here. Okay. So first thing that we have to do is create a virtual environment so that we can keep all our dependencies there. So I'll say pip env venv and sorry, virtual and then you have to specify an environment name. So ven, what was the command for virtual environment? Okay, so virtual env, and then our environment name will be env. So as you can see, a new folder has been created with bin, lib, and other stuff. So I'll simply deactivate my conda environment, conda deactivate. As you can see, my conda environment is active, so I'll first deactivate it. It has been deactivated, and then I'll say source. and env slash bin slash activate. So as you can see, the virtual environment is active now. Okay. So first thing that we have to do is scraping. So I'll say web scraping in Python. Okay. I'll say medium so that I get a blog around it. I'll click on a couple of links and let's see what it actually gives us. So this is using, okay. So if you look at the code, we'll need request module, we'll need beautiful soup. Now they are using pandas. I don't think we'll need it. Now here they have the URL, and then all you have to call is request.get URL to get the URL. So this will give you a response object, and then you can say response.content to create a soup object. So this looks pretty simple. Let's I'll create a new file called dictionary.py. First thing that we'll do is I'll say import requests. So it says select Python interpreter, and we'll select the interpreter. Okay. So okay. So I'll say request, then I'll say import PS4. I don't think it's installed, so I'll simply install these libraries. With install beautiful soup. I'll keep it very candid. Okay? So everything that I would do normally to get started, we'll be doing it here. So I'll say install beautiful soup to see the command. So okay, so we have written the right command. Let's see if we have request. Okay, so both these modules are installed. From BS4 import beautiful soup as BS. So now we need a URL that will be calling, and then we'll say response is equal to request dot get, and here we'll pass the URL. So okay, so this is a normal dictionary site. Here I'll type word introvert. Now this is the page that we are getting, and if you look at the URL, this is the URL, http dictionary.cambridge.org dictionary English slash the word that you have searched for. So I can simply say extrovert, and I'll get the definition for extrovert. So whichever word that I want the meaning for, I can simply replace this part of the URL with that word, and I'll get the word page in return. So this is very user friendly now. I can simply remove this. I'll say I have a word which will be, say, for now it's extrovert, and the URL that we'll be calling will be word plus will be URL plus the word. Okay. And then we have to check response dot status code. So I'll print this thing. So what all we are doing, we are first taking the word, we are taking the URL, and when you combine them, we'll get the URL for that word. Now we'll call, basically make a request to that page, and in response, we'll get the complete page, like the complete page code. Okay. Once we have the page, we will extract or scrape important information from it. So first step is getting the page itself. So I'll save this thing, and let's try running it. So I'll say Python I. So I is for interactive. So after running this file, give me the interactive prompt. So now I'll say dictionary.py. So we got some error. Now if you look at it, it is because of request module. Okay, this part. Okay. Now if you see that this error, request exception connection error, connection abort. So I'll come here, Google what it is. So yeah, okay. So I'm trying to request this, but I get this error in Python 3 script. This is how it looks. So here the answer is, the issue is that website filters out the request without proper user agent. So just use a random one from MDN. Okay. So along with the request, along with the URL, we'll also have to pass the header, and the header will basically create a user agent which will say keep whether I'm a Mozilla browser or Apple WebKit or like other stuff. Okay. So this website is basically rejecting all the requests which are made from other programming languages or bots like this, because a UI based browser will have a proper agent or a proper header. So we'll try to mimic it by passing these values. So don't worry if you don't understand all these things. All we are just saying is you need to have a proper header to make the request. So we are just trying to create that. So I'll say header is equal to this dictionary, and here I'll say headers is equal to header. Now let's save it and try to run it again. Okay, so this time everything worked. We are getting 200, which means, so 200 is basically HTTP code which stands for success. So the request was successfully served. So hence in response.status code you will see 200. Okay. So the first part is almost done. We are able to access our web page. So the web page is stored in response. I'll simply say response dot content to see its content. This is the complete web page and its data. It's not presented in a very pretty format, but this is how it looks. Okay. So let's clear the window, and okay, so we are able to access this page. That was the first part. All we did to achieve this was import request library and then make a get request to this URL along with this header. We got a response to check if everything was successful. We printed the status code status code 200 indicates that yes, everything was successful. Okay. Great. Now next thing, if okay, once we have okay, so we have installed it, we have imported it, we got the page, yes, we got 200. Next is to create a soup object from it, and then we'll print the soup object. So yeah, this is pretty easy. I'll simply say soup is equal to bs, because our beautiful soup object is this, and I'll say response dot content. You can also call text, it will give you the same thing. So and then we have to say html dot parser, because it's written here. Now let's print our soup object. Okay, so this is our soup object that we got. It's not very different from the HTML code. It's actually exactly the same thing. But when you create a soup object, you get access to many more powerful features. So next part is extracting the data. So if you follow the blog, all it will say is you have to identify which part of the website do you want to extract. So I'll right click here and I'll say inspect. So this extrovert keyword is present inside this span with, so I'll zoom. So it's present here. Okay. It's present inside a span with this as class. Okay. Great. So actually, if you see all of the important content that you need, one is the word, its part of speech, and its meaning. All these information content is present inside, it's present inside this entry body. Okay. So first I'll try to access this div. Once we have access to this div, we can go and extract these individual elements like the word, its meaning, as well as its part of speech. So first task would be to access this div with class name entry body. So if we come here, this is how you have to access it. Soup.find, and then you have to specify the class name. Okay. So let's try doing it. We have our soup object. I'll say dot find, and then I'll basically specify class is equal to, we'll come here and copy the class. So this is our like div that we actually are interested in. So I'll basically save it in a variable called div, and then div is another soup object in itself. So now I can say find, and here we can find the word and its meaning. So okay. So it has to be a span with this class. So I'll copy the class and I'll come here. I'll simply say class underscore equal to and paste. So we are actually getting what we are interested in. We are getting the word. If you want the text, so if you want this text that is present inside the span tag, this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. So if you want the content that is present within these tags, you just have to say dot text. It will give you the word. Okay. So let's add these things here. First is I want div. So div will be soup.find and class underscore, and here I'll, this was our class entry body. Once we have that div, we can extract the word by simply saying div dot find and then class, and HWDHW. I'll print the word so that you can see it. Okay, we have to say dot text to get the word out. So yeah, we were easily able to get the word. Now we have to look for noun where this is present. So I'll simply click here. I'll say inspect. You can see it's present inside a span with the class as this. With the span class as this. So now again it's pretty easy. I'll simply say I'll copy this class. I'll come here, paste it here, and then I'll say this is my part of speech. Yes. And instead of word, I want to print part of speech now. And next thing is our meaning. So the meaning is present inside this div with this class name. So I'll copy this thing and paste it here, and this will become my meaning. So okay, so we are printing the status code. I no longer need it. I'll remove it, and then okay. So for let's print word comma use f string so that you can identify the word, and then okay. So we'll basically create a soup object, extract that div that we are interested in, and then from that div I'll extract word, part of speech, and the meaning, and then I'll print it. So so the word is extrovert, its part of speech is noun, and then this is the meaning of it. So an energetic person who enjoys being over with other people, being with other people. Okay. So okay, this is all the code that you need to scrape a web page for its meaning. Now you will see we have used two different libraries. One is request, second is beautiful soup. In request we are only using one method, request.get, and we have to pass the URL, and then we have to pass the header. We understood this thing after looking at a Stack Overflow link. So one advice that I generally, like one practice that I generally follow is copy the Stack Overflow link here. So even when I'm reading the code next time or going through it, I'll know what is the reason for adding this thing. And so we are just making a request to this URL with this header. We'll get a response. We are storing it in RESP variable, and then when you say response.text and you pass it to your beautiful soup object with this argument, again I don't know what this argument does, but it was there, so we have just copied it. Now we created a soup object. Now soup object makes it extremely easy to search for particular elements and extract important text from them. So we have used it to extract part of speech, meaning, and the word itself. So as we already know the word, so I don't think we actually have to extract it. So we are left with this code. Okay. So now let's make, instead of fixed word, I'll say enter a word, and now we'll try to run it. So it will ask for a word. I can say ambivert, and then it will go on the net and return the word, its part of speech, and the meaning. Okay, does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So fine. I'll quickly, a word of advice for everyone would be, when you're coding, you don't have to know a lot of things. As a developer, one of the most important skills that you can develop or practice is to efficiently and effectively use Google and Stack Overflow. A lot of times you don't need a lot of understanding. Only if you understand what object you are passing, what is requested, and if you can connect the dots between different parts, that would be more than enough to get a basic program up and running. Now, to make write the most optimum code and to make write the most efficient code, you will need much more knowledge than that. But initially, when you're just starting, it's recommended that you try to be as raw as you can. So now here, a person would go, like, ideally a person would go and read everything that is there to read about request library, but you will see, to achieve this task we are using only one function, dot get. In Beautiful Soup it can do a lot of things, but you will see we are only using find method, nothing else. Okay, we are creating a soup object and then we are calling find method with the class, and in some places we are using text. This is very straightforward, that it will return you the text that is present between the opening and closing tags. Okay, so oftentimes when you're starting, don't waste a lot of time reading a lot of stuff, mastering a lot of concepts that you will you will never use or you will not use in this project. Okay, so don't waste a lot of time doing that. My advice would be, once you get this code running, this is the good time where you should go and read about request library. So uh, request Python, you will see request Python. So here is a W3 this. Here is another tutorial from Geeks for Geeks. You can open multiple links and go through them if something makes sense. So you can see that request module allows you to send HTTP request using Python, and you get a response object which contains data, encoding, status, and extra stuff. But so this is how you do it, and response object will have all these things. Okay? Properties and methods of response method. So it will have all these different things. We have used dot text, so it will return the content of the response in Unicode. If you use dot content, then it will return the response in bytes. So you should use content when you are requesting an image, video, or MP3, MP4 uh, file. If you are requesting a text document, then dot text should do the job for you. Now is a good time where you go and explore what response object is, what all different types of requests you can make. Go and look at the library page where you can see all the different things, how to use it and other different stuff, what all various feature it allows you. And if you see if something of importance here, you can go and read more about it in detail. You can go read the docs and do other stuff. Okay? You can go and read multiple blogs about it. You will understand a lot of different things. So once you have read the request library, then you can go and explore Beautiful Soup library, and particularly what does dot find does. Okay? So yeah, don't waste a lot of time reading or mastering things, because oftentimes you just import a function to use a single method from it. Okay? Once you have a working code, then it's a good time that you go and try to understand the library, the module, to write the most efficient code. Okay? So great. To make it better, we'll simply create a function. I'll say def. Function name will be get mini, and I'll pass a word here. So I don't need this line anymore. And I'll all these things. Next is I'll remove this, and I'll simply say return and POS comma meaning. Now this is my function. Now I can add if name equal to mean, then basically take a word from input, enter a word, and then you'll get meaning. You will call get meaning with the word, and finally you will print the word with its part of speech, and then you will print the meaning. So now it's much more organized, and if you're looking seeing this code for the first time, then it simply means that if this code is directly, if you execute this script directly, then only this piece of code should be executed, else not, because we'll be importing this function in our Flask code, so we'll need it as a separate module. So let's see if this is working. So it's exactly the same thing. It will ask for a word. I'll say miss and drop, and it will return. So someone who dislikes and avoids other people is known as misanthrope. Okay, so it's working as expected. So this is the first part, or the first module of our project. Anyone has any doubts regarding the code or any other thing? So this is all the code that you need. Take a minute, go through it, see if you have any doubt. Okay, so great. When it like before we stop for the break, just some references that you should explore after this. So in request library, actually you don't need to know anything apart from get function. So even if you know how to call this, it's more than enough when it comes to request library. And talking about Beautiful Soup, actually it's amazingly powerful and you can do a lot of different things with it. So a few months back, I have we took a workshop on Beautiful Soup and how to use it, and this is the notebook from the workshop. So I'll share the link with everyone. So you can go through this notebook to understand how web scraping works. It will use a lot of images to help you understand how HTML documents are structured, and then how you can use Beautiful Soup to extract, to select different tags. We have been using find method. There's something called find all. You can read more about it. There's some you can also use these tags instead of using classes. You can use tags, and you can use other attributes like ID and ID and other stuff. Also, you can use regular expressions. So you can say re.compile and then you pass the class or attribute or tag, whichever you want. So Beautiful Soup is amazingly powerful. It's very easy to use and it's extremely flexible. And once you have selected your HTML element which is of importance to you, you can access information from it by simply calling the attribute name. So if you have, you can say dot text to extract all the text. You can say dot you can say href to extract the value inside this href, and you can do a lot of other things. So dot text will give you this value, and if you access this as a dictionary, so it will give you this link. So you can do a lot of very cool things with it. I'll recommend that you try going through this blog if you are new to Beautiful Soup. And then at the end, we are scraping a real web page. So other legalities and other formalities of web scraping are covered. And then we'll basically scrape a website and create a new data set of books for ourselves. So it will discuss both the concepts, and it also has an exercise for you so you can practice it. Okay? So this is one blog that I'll recommend all of you to read if you are new to Beautiful Soup. And request library, you don't need to understand a lot of it. Only thing is, get method will request a web page, and you will get a response object to extract the text we call dot text. Okay.
I am good.
Hi.
Tejas here. I have one doubt. Can you explain me what is part of header? Means what it does, why we are using it?
Okay. So whenever you make a request to any page, so okay, so whenever you make a request to any page, if you say, I'll click here, you can see response, you can see header. So I'll zoom it so you can see it. Okay, if you look, we are requesting this URL. The request method is post, and then this is the response header, and this is the request header. So in HTTP protocol, whenever you're requesting data, these are some basic things that are required. HTTP will tell you what protocol is used, then which method is used. All these things are required. Along with that, you pass header, which stores many other much more information about the request that you're making. And finally, you will have your data. So in this response header, you specify all these different things like this is your request header. So you will specify your cookie that allows your browser to remember you as a person, or you allows you to store your identifier. Then this is other reference, and this is your user agent. Okay? This user agent allows the server to know that you are requesting this page from Edge browser with this version. Okay? So when you're requesting a page from your mobile, the user agent will be something else. When you request a page from Instagram app, or when you request a post from the Instagram app, the user agent will be something different. This user agent allows server to decide which file to send back. If it's a mobile, it will send a small file with less CSS and less fancy stuff. If it's a big desktop or iPad kind of screen, the user agent will be something else. This allows server to decide certain things. Okay. Now this is all done under the hood. You don't have to do it explicitly. This is all done under the hood by your browser for you. Now when you're passing the request manually using Python or say any other programming language, all you're doing is passing the important stuff, that I'm requesting this URL, this is the method, and I'll be using this protocol. So the server, a lot of server, to prevent bots from continuously requesting the server. So to prevent bots, a lot of servers, they'll directly reject all the requests which doesn't have a user agent. That means all the requests which are not made from the browser, so they'll be rejected. So to bypass that thing, we are also passing the header. Okay, if required, we can also copy the cookies and pass them. So I can add a new key here, cookies, and I'll copy this value here, and then I'll pass it. So if the server requires that you should have a cookie, like if you want to access your Twitter page, so you have to be logged in to see anything. So you will also pass your cookie to access all the pages which are behind authentications. So like that is the reason why we are using header.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, your browser does it
Yes.
all under the hood. We have to do it manually when you are writing code.
Okay.
So great. This is the first part of it. Now here, if you look at our program, it takes a user input and then it displays or prints something in the output. So it's using standard input and standard output method. So it's taking input in the terminal and displaying the output in the terminal itself. So if you want to create a web app, we'll have to find two things. One is, how do we take input from the front end, and second is, instead of displaying it in the terminal here, how do we send it to the front end so that it can render and display it. So if we know how to, instead of using standard input and standard output, if we can use front end for both taking the input and for taking the output, then our job is done. Okay? So let's take a 10 minutes break and let's meet back at 5, and then we'll continue with our second module, which is basically using Flask. So using Flask, we'll create a front end for this application where we'll have an input field, we'll search for the word, we'll get the word here, and then we'll extract the part of speech and meaning and send it back to the front end so that we can display it. Okay, so yeah, that will be the next module that we'll be working on. Let's take a 10 minutes break. Okay, we'll be starting sharp at 5, so everyone please be on time.
Yes, Ankur. Thank you.
Yes.